This is Heal Your Mind, Heal Your Body with Dr. Schuyler. Discover how your thoughts manifest disease and what you can do about it. Here's your host, Dr. Schuyler.
Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome back. So I would say as a therapist, the biggest honor a parent can bestow upon me is to entrust me with their child. Yeah, I think as parents, the most precious human in our life and our greatest source of love is our children. And I find it to be this huge and very humbling divine honor that a parent will entrust me with their child. And I get to finally say this out loud as the book is being released next week. Yay! I've been asked so many times, so why did I write this book? And my response is there's so many pink elephants in the therapy room as it relates to our child's anxiety and their depression and their cutting, and their medical ailments, and with really no real reason why our kids are sick. So in this book, I'm really addressing these really large, pink, obnoxious elephants in the therapy room that no one's talking about because it's time to start speaking up and teaching parents what's going on. And someone has to start speaking up. And as a mom of two teenagers, and one of them has an autoimmune, and I'm a parent and also, a psychotherapist that treats children with anxiety and gut issues and autoimmune, and also I'm someone who has recovered from an autoimmune. So when I get asked and approached, why'd you write this book? I base this book not only on the kids that I work with, that I have the honor to work with, but my own struggles dealing with multiple sclerosis back in the day. And my child struggled dealing with an autoimmune after she had COVID, and the emotional traumas that we as humans endure, and the broken unicorn betrayals, and all the things that come with the journey of life. So when I was working, with my own child, trying to help her, as I've talked about this in previous episodes, I just felt so helpless and isolated. And with this book, I took these stories of my own life, my child's life, and my patients' lives, and I started to interweave them into this tapestry of a book to paint a much bigger picture of what exactly is the mind-body health? What is it, and why are so many of these taboo topics related to our child's health that no one really wants to talk about? So very gently and with a lot of compassion, I'm going to unapologetically highlight what I discuss in the book. And like so many other therapists out there who work with children in the pediatrics, we're not just working with children, we're working with the family, working with the siblings, the parents, working with the parents' wounds, the parents' anxiety, the parents' attachment style. We're working with this really big picture of the family dynamics, and we have to explore so many avenues and go down so many different areas at where the source could be coming from. I like to tell people, therapist doesn't have an X-ray and MRI to guide us. We have to kind of dig through a lot of things, and working with children, it's exceptionally rewarding and also exceptionally challenging because you may have a child who is suicidal and having these thoughts that, they would rather be dead than keep living. And unless they're at acute imminent risk, I have to keep that confidential. And the parents don't know yet. So this kid is not at acute risk. They may be cutting themselves, wish that they were not alive. And the parents tell me, oh, my kid is thriving. They're so happy. Their grades are good. And I just have to sit there in silence and think, oh my gosh, no, they're not. I know that's a song and the dance that they're selling you, and I know what they're telling you. And then they go alone in their room and they harm themselves, or they cry in the shower, or they feel totally isolated alone. And it's a charade that kids put on in front of their parents. And I always say every child over the age of 8 should have a therapist, whether there's something wrong or not, because it takes a village to raise kids, and we don't have villages anymore. So I'm not saying I'm immune to my kids keeping secrets. I'm absolutely sure that they do. I am just really comfortable knowing my flaws as a parent and knowing that my children have secrets and fears. And the more I can rid myself of the ego and talk about these pink elephants in the therapy room, maybe I can make a difference in a child's life or in a parent's life and how we address it. So it's this fine line as a therapist, keeping the child's trust, not alienating the parents who almost always feel helpless. And there's more times than I probably ever want to recount that I have been the child's only lifeline. And many a times the parent was the reason why the child wanted a way out of life. And this goes for any therapist that works for children. The dynamics are exceptionally complex. And adding this element of working with a child who is medically sick without medical known reasons, why they're having gut issues, why they're having autoimmune issues, it even adds even more to this complex process. So, as I've talked about in my past story, how I came to be sick and like my secondary gains and things no one wants to talk about. And I've written this book addressing these pink elephants in the therapy room. So, I'm going to go over them today and what they are. If you don't have kids, I ask you to consider. Someone said to me they see this book. The book is called Empower Your Child to Heal. And I had someone tell me, yeah, she sees it as empowering her inner child. And it's understanding this out of the box mind body connections and how these 8 elements relate to your life. So, this is kind of breaking down in summary what the book is about, the 8 mind body methods. And the first 4 today is going to be the science behind it. So, it's what's really fundamental to the mind body connection. I went over this at great length in episode 1 are emotions. Emotions are the glue that bind the mind to the body. Emotional regulation, I would arguably probably go toe to toe with anybody on this one, is seriously lacking in today's society. We see videos of people exploding, anger, road rage, or their coffee isn't hot enough, yelling at baristas or yelling at someone, road rage, that someone cut them off. I see parents losing emotional regulation, and I truly, truly believe that emotional regulation is human mastery. And emotional regulation is a sign of the highest form of human intelligence. Now, have I always had emotional regulation? Absolutely not. I have finally, I would say, I've gotten to a place in my life where, yeah, I would say I have it. I would go as far as to say is 98% of the time. But it took a heck of a lot of work to get to this place. And what I talk about in this book is something called psychoneuroimmunology and how emotional dysregulation is so harmful for our children when they see us freak out, when they see us stressed, when they see us road rage or get mad a cup of coffee's not hot enough. So psychoneuroimmunology, I'm going to call it PNI for short. It's basically the first step in the mind-body connection and the first of 4 of the sciences behind the mind-body. And it's how our thoughts and emotions influence our immune system and how emotional experiences directly alter cellular functions. So in short, emotions either get you better or they get you sicker. And our thoughts and perceptions influence our cellular environment. So, emotions and psychological states can modify gene expressions. And emotions are more than feelings. That we know through the study of PNI that our core beliefs, our automatic negative thoughts, all these things I talk about in the book, all impact our immune response and our stress. So, the biggest pink elephant in the therapy room is helping a child heal from parents who are emotionally dysregulated. And parents kind of be, my child is so emotionally dysregulated. And I do an intake on the parent, intake on the child. And I got to tell you, man, the child's mirroring the parent's behavior. The child was not inherently dysregulated. They're mirroring their parents. And again, pink elephant, I can't directly go tell a parent, hey, side note, you're kind of the problem. So I wrote this book in a gentle way to start addressing these things. And I have a child, my parents are screaming, they're yelling, they're fighting. Then my mom turns and yells and screams at me. And I have a hard time trying to have it make sense to the child why people scream, why people yell and say things they can't take it back. And this is what I like to tell parents who maybe argue in front of the child or say things to the child like, leave me alone, you're bothering me, or just get out of my face. Children listen to everything. And I tell children how your parent is treating you or your friend or your teacher is a direct result of how that person feels about themselves inside. It has nothing to do with you. So if your dad or your mom is screaming and yelling at you, that is their emotional dysregulation. That's how their internal state is. It's not a reflection of you. Hurt people hurt. Mad people are mad. Mean people are mean. And kind people are kind, even in anger. So here's a good example I try to explain to parents and to kids. I have a really old dog. Little old, not little, she's 85 pounds, but Sam, she's a little old lady now. So Sam, her entire life has gotten into the garbage. So Sam, blind, deaf as she is, going to walk in, get into my garbage. Now, I have infinite amount of possibilities how I can handle this. No matter how stressed, how busy I am, how I handle interacting with this dog is 100% my responsibility. Now, I don't do this, but I could scream and yell and beat her to a pulp for getting into the garbage, kick her, all those horrible, horrible things, which I would never do. But if I scream and yell and kick at this dog, is it her fault? She got in the garbage. Can I justify my anger because a dog was being a dog and got in the garbage? A kid's being a kid and disobeyed you or lied, which is what kids do, or a kid got a bad grade? Am I justified because my dog destroyed the garbage from one end of the house to the other to scream, yell, and kick at her? I have infinite possibilities how to handle this exact scenario. Yes, I left the garbage out. My lab got into the garbage. That's my fault my dog got in the garbage. I left the garbage out. I don't yell at her. I'm like, Sam, again, the garbage. Oh, and then I go pick it up. Back in the younger days, she would get scolded, but at this age, it's my fault. Garbage is out. Infinite ways to handle when someone does something that upsets us. Now, am I happy if I've got to run and see a patient and I've got avocado peels and garbage strewn one house, end of the house another? No, I'm not. So I ask you as a parent, you have infinite ways to respond when your child angers you. Emotional regulation is your responsibility. So as a parent, when we talk to our kids, it's really important to address and ask, are you talking out of anger and it's hurting your kids? Or are you talking out of anger with respect and it's teaching your kids? It can either be a teaching moment or a trauma moment. So that is the first step. The pink elephant is basically gently put, are you emotionally dysregulated and hurting your kid? At some point in time, we all do it. The second one is ants. So 80% of our thoughts are negative, and 95% of those thoughts are repetitive. So we know when our kids say things like, I'll never get better, that they start to create this lifestyle where they never can feel like they're going to get better, and their anxiety gets worse. And you may say something like a child, I'll give you something to cry about, or why are you crying? You shouldn't be crying. You're too sensitive. You're overreacting. You're making a mountain out of a molehill. You're creating too much drama. I have kids tell me all the time their parents tell them they're too sensitive. And I like to remind the children that we are emotional beings that happen to think. So you really can't be too sensitive. You just have needs that need to be met. And we're not going to logic our way out of natural human emotions. So then I have to uninstall this hard drive of you shouldn't be crying, you're too sensitive, you're overreacting. Or get out of your face, you're bothering me, I'm too busy. When parents say, I'm too busy, it tells a child that they're really not that important. Now, we all are busy. So I like the line, my 15-year-old loves to run in when I'm like super slammed trying to get something in, Mom, Mom, Mom. And I look at her and I say, your words are so important to me. Give me 3 minutes to finish this email and I'm putting the phone down. You have my undivided attention. Because what I want to say is, oh my God, I'm so busy. I have no clue I need to do this. But I know that's going to do with her. Hey, your words are important. Give me a minute so I can focus solely on you. But if you were to say, hey, I'm busy, get out of my face, don't eat that. That's not very healthy. Are you sure you want to eat that? Oh, you're too sensitive. Take a little wild guess what automatic negative thoughts are forming in that cute little brain of theirs. So this is the pink elephant number 2 that's covered in a very gentle way in the book of, as parents, we have automatic negative thoughts too, and they formed early childhood, and those thoughts kind of start carrying over. So how can a very gentle way can we be more mindful of manner in which we're speaking to our kids, and how can we contribute to more automatic loving thoughts? And like when Lily comes up, Mom, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. Lily, just a minute. Your words are important to me. I just told her an automatic loving thought. Your words are important to me. You are important. Oh, this is so important to me. Give me a minute. I'll be right there. I'm trying to instill these automatic loving thoughts, not, oh my God, I'm so bothered. I don't have time for that. You kind of see the difference? So when the second thing when I talk about this is how automatic negative thoughts are instilled in our children. And those are 2 things in the book, the science, the emotions and the ants. So the other one is my all-time favorite. It's stress contagion. Your bad juju is making me feel bad juju. A child's stress can go up by 40% just by being around you. So the mirror neurons, these little neurons in our head that pick up on someone's yawns, and if you're highly empathic, you can pick up on these biorhythms of other people in their heart. And I've talked about this before, that our bloodstream, that cortisol is contagious through our bloodstream and it lands on those that we love around us. And we talk about how to protect your peace. So stress is contagious in multiple ways. And if you are coming in hot, you are full of stress, that's very contagious for your child. And how do you inoculate yourself as a parent? I would say by far the toughest thing for me to treat is a mom recovering from emotional abuse or physical or psychological or financial abuse, and she has a house full of children to take care of. And I want to say this, how you treat a mother is how you treat her child. When you think about a mother, mothers are the primary caregiver for your child's mental health. So if you stab a mother, she's going to bleed all over her children. So as a mom, if you're in an environment which is causing you to feel stress, that's going to carry over to your child. And I talk about this very gently in the book, and it is really hard treating mothers who are leaving abuse because I have to inoculate them that their stress that they're rightfully so going through, they're rightfully so are victims of domestic violence, not to have that trauma bleed onto the children. So that is more of an extreme pendulum shift. But what I want to do is even talk about if you're the room mom, you're constantly running, you're constantly doing, go, 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 got to cook here, got to do that, got to bake this, make those costumes. How you can inoculate yourself so you don't give that stress to your child. One of the other things that I hear a lot is, well, yeah, my dad yelled at me, but he's just so stressed with work. And he said, sorry, I'm yelling at you. I'm so stressed at work. And I can't say this in session, but I can say this in podcast. Stress and work will never be a reason to yell at anybody. I don't ever buy into the excuse, I'm so stressed, that's why I'm yelling, or I am so overworked, that's why I'm yelling. I don't buy it. And I think we stop normalizing that it's okay to yell at our children or yell at our loved ones or yell at anybody because we feel stressed. It's simply not okay anymore. And we're kind of wondering why anxiety, depression, and suicide rates are so high, but we keep excusing talking to each other so disrespectfully because we're overworked or we're stressed. And again, a pink elephant in the room. I'm not buying it as an excuse anymore. I don't think that we can blame I'm so stressed or I'm so busy in how we speak to people. And I talk about protecting our peace. That's one of the elements to this. So the pink elephants in the book, the science behind it are the emotions, automatic negative thoughts, and stress contagion. And the fourth element of the 8 mind-body methods are what limbic response your child is in or what limbic response you are in. So let's kind of back into this. If our emotions are running hot, we're always angry, stressed, or too busy. We have automatic negative thoughts. Just leave me alone. I'm too busy. I'm overstressed. I'll never get better. I'm not good enough. We're not protecting our peace. We're, leaking bad vibes onto everybody. Your limbic system's going to go into fight or flight. Now, this is the science behind the mind-body connection. And we've talked about this at length. The body can't survive in fight or flight for too long. And the limbic system is chronically triggered by emotion, stress contagion, and automatic negative thoughts. Our immune system just simply gets compromised, and it leads to inflammation, digestion disruption, immune system suppression. And when we can no longer handle being in fight or flight, we actually go into something called the frozen response, and we just begin to totally shut down. And the limbic system actually stores emotional memories, and it can come up when we least expect it. I always like to do little anecdotal kind of down memory lane stories. When I was growing up, I was always told, just grow up, just grow up. And I was 5 years old, just grow up, just grow up. And I would get mad or upset or just cry. I don't know, I got punched in the face or something, I don't know. And I'd cry and I'd be yelled, just grow up. So I just thought any sort of emotional expression means I wasn't grown up enough. And I eventually turned into this fight response. Let me fight back. So fast forward years later, someone innocently out of humor was like, oh my God, just grow up, Skylar. And he said it in this really funny way. And without even realizing, I just got this wave of enragement. And I didn't say anything. I just sat there and he's like, why is your face so red? I'm like, I don't know. Give me a second. So my limbic system had memorized this emotional stress and my body was reacting. I had the wherewithal to kind of stop and go, whoa, what was that? And that was nothing to do with my thoughts. I was having fun. We're having this banter. We're laughing. We're having a good time. And this one phrase ignited like 40 years of limbic. The limbic remembers emotional states. So these are the 4 mind-body methods that can empower yourself, empower your child, empower your inner child. It's backed by science and a lot of, personal anecdotal stories. And by regulating our emotions, monitoring our thoughts, and learning to manage stress, like when someone hit a limbic response, just grow up, Skylar. Learning to kind of master emotional regulation, you begin to build what we call a safety-based sense of life. Dr. Damas and I, my colleague, we developed something called the safety-based protocol. And when you begin to feel this internal sense of safety, or you begin to provide your child this internal sense of safety, you can begin to heal from anxiety. And people tell me all the time, well, yeah, I live in a safe neighborhood, a guarded community, a gated community. I'm like, that's not safety. Safety is, do you feel safe in your own head when you fall asleep at night? Do you feel safe when you're all alone, when there's no music, no phone, no TV? Like, can you sit in a forest quietly and feel safe? Just go for a walk, bear spray in hand, albeit. But can you just be safe in your own mind and really stop and think, does your child feel safe? Do you think your child feels safe in their own mind? And this is the science behind the book. How, with these emotions and stress contagion, automatic negative thoughts all lead to disruptive limbic response. So when you put this together with the next episode, it's going to go over the psychology behind it, the 8 psychology methods. When you take these two and you weave them together, the science and the psychology, you've got this interplay of what makes up the mind-body. And we move from insecurity into stability, into safety. And then a correlating stress response begins to kind of mellow out. So when you're looking at this whole process, are you creating an environment for your child to feel safe internally? Do you talk with respect and kindness, even in anger? Were you raised in respectful kindness, even in anger? And how may that be leaking over to your child? So the book is actually coming out on Sunday. Today's Tuesday, so it'll be out on this Sunday, the 20th. And if you like it, by all means, please leave a review. If you don't leave a review for the love of God. Just hit me up on the website. Tell me what you don't like. I want to learn. I want to learn from you all. So if you like it, please leave a review. If you don't, shoot me an email and help me clarify what may have been confusing or offensive. And yeah, this book might be kind of hurtful in some areas because I am talking about pink elephants that I can't talk about with parents. So it's kind of an ego check book because it really dives into things. Our kids are getting sicker and no one's talking about it. So it's finally about time that someone clarify. I'm hoping with this message and with this book, my daughter now is 3 years into her journey. Her cane is long since retired. She just got the reports back from her physician that her mobility has increased, her ability to stretch and touch her toes has increased. She's getting off the meds and her inflammation markers have gone down and she's well onto her way of healing. She's running around on platform 70 shoes all the time. That's her vibe. So what I'm doing, just know that I practiced it while I was writing this book. I practice what I preach, and I humbly am very grateful for the hundreds, if now not thousands of parents since 2005 who have entrusted me with their child, who have enabled me and empowered me to collect this data all these years. I would say, gosh, almost 20 years now of listening to children, not talking to children. Listening to kids has put me in this position to be able to teach and power this knowledge onto you, and then through the grief of my own child and what she's gone through in my own journey. So the book is pre-order until Sunday. Empower Your Child to Heal. And please leave a review if you feel so inclined. And you can also go to the website, drskylar.net, and you can kind of get some emails and newsletters with some sneak peeks into things that I don't talk about in the podcast that will be privy to just you during the newsletter. And also, you'll have updates on the new book coming out, Rewiring Your Heart. It gets into a deeper dive in the mind-body connection. Thank you, beautiful souls, and I wish you all so many abundant blessings. Thank you for your time. I feel so grateful you have listened to the end. When we begin to understand how our body manifests stress, trauma, depression, anxiety, and even unexpressed emotions, we then create a space and bandwidth in our minds to begin to heal our bodies. Healing is a decision, and I am grateful for yours. Abundant blessings, Dr. Schuyler.
To learn more about the work Dr. Schuyler is doing, please visit drschuyler.net. That's drskYler.net. And remember to subscribe to this podcast wherever you like to listen.
Produced by Audivita Studios. Connect your voice to the world.